Most people love butterflies. They flutter so gracefully, they land so gently, and they're colorful. However, they're not born that way. Rather, they go through a process called metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and that is a process that not enough people applaud. So I'd like to think that the butterfly is not about its beauty, rather it's about its becoming. Now, I'm going to share with you 4 people who happens to be my family. So, bear with me. There's Dad. He was the quintessential head of the household. He took pride in working. He had his own business for about 20 years. He was a floor cover and he was great at what he did. He was also a pastor and he liked to play tennis, and he was someone that our family looked up to in many ways. Then there's my mother, the oh so sweet lady that is sitting right there. She was a stay-at-home mother, and she led with love and care, and no matter where she went, people adored her presence. She was also a dynamic speaker. Now, I told you that my father was a pastor. I'm a preacher's kid. So you can only imagine that although that she was so sweet and mild, but she had a way of getting in front of an audience and captivating people. She had a presence to change lives. Then I have an older brother. Now, he's 9 years older than I am. His name is Marlon, and if you ever chat GPT good guy, his face would come up, okay? My older brother, who's 9 years older than I am, he has always been amazing. He never gave my parents any trouble. He was the first in our family to go to college. He went to UNC Chapel Hill, and he was someone that I immensely looked up to. You see, he wasn't those types of brothers that shooed me off. He took time with me. And that was something that impacted my life. Now, last but not least, I don't know if you have ever experienced the youngest sibling in your household, or you may be one. I am her, okay? That is me, and younger siblings are a trip. I got away with everything. Right? I did, Mom, right? Yeah, I did. My brother cringed at all the things that I could get by my parents. And I enjoyed being the youngest sibling. I didn't have a bunch of responsibility. Now, you may say, Faith, did you come up here to a TED Talk just to talk to us about your family? The answer is no. We all have a way of connecting because we're humans. And when we think about the course of our life, we can remember a year that changes our lives. That year for our family was 1995. My father, right after the age of 50, he had 4 miniature strokes and a major stroke that year. I was 15 years old. And in a matter of a second, our whole lives changed. The strength and the stature of that man that I once knew, I never saw that in him again. My mother, she had to transition immediately into a caretaker. And then my brother, I told you all he's a good guy. He put his dreams and aspirations on hold to take over the family business and to try to be the man of the house as much as he could. And as for me, at 15, I got a job so I would not be a burden to my family. Now, the thing about life is that it will present you at sometimes the most opportune times where you don't want to face change. But an old client of mine, he used to tell me, Faith, just keep living. However, that started what I called my caterpillar phase of life. You see, I graduated, I'm from Durham, so I graduated Southern Durham High School, and I went to North Carolina Central University. And while I was there, I began to understand who I was a little better. I began to network with people and my professors. I built relationships. I joined a sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I was now a part of a sea of women who I had so much in common with and had sisterhood. So after I was done, I had graduated in May of 2004 on a Saturday with my business degree, concentration in accounting, and that very Monday, I started my career. I started working for a nonprofit organization called The Initiative. And while I was there for 10 and a half years, so much happened in that time. I started off as a staff accountant, and a few months later, or a few years later, I was promoted to financial controller. I also had my daughter, who is now 19 years old, and she really brought another purpose to my life. Also, I was afforded many opportunities, and there was one thing in the summer of 2008 that really changed my life, which was becoming passionate about something. You see, I was asked to tell my story, a story that I didn't realize that I had, but the CEO, he said, listen, we are launching a summer youth internship program. So I want you to come up and just talk to them about some of the things that you've gone through. And I was like, okay. So I went. And when I sat down that evening, I knew that I was closely connected to people. My passion for people, my passion for human relations. And so from there spawned more speaking engagements. Additionally, while I was at the Initiative, I went and got my CPA license in 2012. Right after that, I started my business on the side, Faith Bynum CPA PC, and I did that for about 2 years. And so for me, my professional work experience is what I would call I developed my wings because I was afforded a lot of opportunity. But in 2014, I was called into the office one day and they had budget cuts and my position was cut and I was laid off of my job. And I'll never forget, I called my parents in despair. And my father had gotten on the phone. He said, Faith, you did not get your CPA license just to sit on it. And he was right. I knew exactly what that meant. So a couple of months later, I stood on my name, which is Faith, and I held my shield out and went into full-time entrepreneurship on January the 20th, 2015. Now, over the last almost 11 years, running a business has not been the easiest. However, it has been filled with successes as well as challenges. You see, the last 11 years, I say that I built the colors on my wings. Some may be pastel purple or blue, yellow, and that stands for the successes, the happy clients, the amazing employees, the contractors who thought that getting us started Faith Bynum CPAPC was amazing. But on my wings also, just like this black and white butterfly here, there's some spots on it. that represents my challenges, that represents some of the unhappy people, that represented the doubt, that represents being able to have to figure out where to go when sometimes you feel alone. However, as I stand in the middle of this red circle, I have always wanted to do a TED Talk. And I have watched them on YouTube for many years. And so today is my butterfly moment. I am telling you about my caterpillar phases. You see, sometimes in life we don't understand exactly what it is or what's going on when we feel like we're in a cocoon in life. Sometimes when our wings are clipped, we're not really too sure if we have the power to go on to that next thing. But those are the moments, your caterpillar phases, in which you build muscle. Those are the moments in which you understand how tenacious you are. And that is what, at the end of the day, when you look back, that there's no way you can become that butterfly without those caterpillar moments. So, as I end, never forget that the beauty is not in the butterfly, rather it's in its becoming. Thank you very much.